Welcome to our third annual New Year's resolution call. Thanks for being here. As usual, I'll be short and sweet because the idea isn't to keep you planning to plan, but equip you for what many would consider wild and even unreasonable success for 2012, and then get you into action mode where we can all make it happen. Remember that the call-in details for the open call-in hours with me today are in your email, and call-in hours are for us to go over your plan, tackle obstacles you anticipate for 2012, or just to celebrate the goals you've set for yourself. Call-in hours are today from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's on a first-come, first-served basis. Here's the truth. I'm not sure what it is about a blank calendar, but it gives us sort of this boldness that we seem to lack throughout the rest of the year. It gives us a hope that we can achieve whatever goal has whipped us in years past, and it just, I guess, gives us a do-over, a clean slate. We haven't screwed up yet. We're not yet behind. We can set goals and for however long succeed at meeting them. In any given year, the statistics say that between 40 and 45% of the population set resolutions. I'd venture to say that even a much higher percentage of us, these small business owners, entrepreneurs, and self-bossers, set these resolutions. Whether we call them resolutions or not, we set these goals for ourselves and for our businesses. Typically, though, however many of us set them, we see less than half of these resolutions still being actively pursued after about May of any given year. And by the way, the only way to reach our goals is to consistently, actively pursue them until. But more on that later. So this year, I'm sort of seeing and feeling something different, and I know that I'm not alone. You know, for years now, since probably 2009, America seems to have been in a sort of collective holding pattern. You know, what will the economy do? What's going to go on with my job? Let me see how this plays out. And so there seems to have been a lot of waiting and hoping and some sitting tight. Not everyone, of course, but collectively as a nation. But something has changed. 2012 seems to be bringing with it a new excitement, a new hope. And I remember my coach telling me, no one is coming, it's up to you. And I feel like that's what's changing. We're seeing more hope than in recent years past. People are starting to dream again about what's possible, and not just what's possible in general, but what's possible for them. And I'm also seeing more urgency. We're sort of done waiting. No one is coming, it's up to us. We're seeing some more personal responsibility. Waiting on and expecting an economic bailout did not pan out for the vast majority of Americans. We're done looking for gifts or handouts or whatever. We're ready to set our goals and know that it's only up to us to achieve them. And we're seeing more readiness to start now. In fact, most people I've talked to have already begun working on their New Year's resolutions. They're already chipping away at getting these goals met. And so with all that said, I'm just excited. So let's really dig in. What's the problem with New Year's resolutions? Obviously, they have what I call a hideously high failure rate, which is why I do this call every year. But why is the failure rate so high? And I've kind of attributed that to two things. One is a misunderstanding of the real value of setting resolutions, and the other is a misunderstanding of what it takes to keep them. So let's talk about the real value of your resolutions, because the value is not in setting these goals. I mean, that's the fun part, right? We get to daydream about what we want, write it down on paper, imagine that it's possible. Without a concerted plan and before our goals are exposed to reality, this is indeed a pleasant fiction. To turn it into our reality, we need to understand what a resolution does for us, what the power is behind a resolution, what it should do for us if we are to be among the few who celebrate resolution achieved status in 2012. The value of setting a resolution is getting really clear about three things. One is the specificity of what you say that you want. We're going to start here. We want to ultimately get clear about what we really want, but we'll start with what we say we want. We have to make sure our goals are clear and specific. No generalities allowed. If you're serious about achieving your goals, they will be able to be measured. So they have to be specific enough to be measured. The second thing that we need to get really, really clear about is how we're going to accomplish the goal. These goals don't accomplish themselves, and so we have to have a plan. Every New Year's resolution has to have a plan behind it if it has any chance of going the distance. So we have to make sure that any goal that we're setting for 2012 is attached to a plan, a realistic plan to make it happen. And the third thing that we need to get really, really clear about is our level of commitment. We need an honest assessment of whether or not we're willing to do what it takes to meet this goal. Another reason your New Year's resolutions bite the dust is because we don't understand, or we don't apply what we do understand about what it takes to fulfill any goal or resolution. We're told to set them, write them down, tell someone, get a partner, and this isn't bad advice, it's just incomplete. New Year's resolutions, they come with a blank calendar or a new journal or a notebook. A lot of people, myself included, we get new pens to plan with and a lot of cool tools like vision boards and family plans and stuff like that right before January. But to achieve your New Year's resolution, it will require of you the same exact approach of any other goal. There's nothing mysterious or confusion here. We just set more goals in January. But in order to achieve them, we just have to approach them like any other goal that we're absolutely committed to achieving. So what does it take? Okay, there's 3 steps to consistently being able to achieve your goals. One is to be clear and specific about your resolution. Generalities lead to broken resolutions. So in other words, we don't want to lose weight, but we have to know how much weight we want to lose by what time. We don't just want to save money, but we want to save X amount of money every month or every week. We don't just want to make our businesses successful or make more money, but we want to gain X number of new clients paying X number of dollars per month. We want to get very specific. To give yourself a fighting chance of reaching your goal, you have to make it measurable so that each week we know how close we are to reaching the goal, so that each month we know if we're on track or off track. Plus, if you don't make your resolution super specific, how will you even know whether you reach it or not? Clear, specific. The biggest challenge I see my clients arrive with, and there are notable exceptions, of course, but most often my questionnaire, that thing that begins my blueprint coaching program, my rapid results program, or even one of my intensives, reveals a lot of general goals, right? And there's a quote, I can't remember who it is now, but essentially it says, if you're not reaching your goals, they probably aren't specific enough. And that's what I find when a lot of people arrive for coaching or consulting with me. They have a lot of general goals: more money, more time, get my name out there, and that's my favorite, by the way. Out where? Like, I'll never know, but it's a common goal. So we want to make sure whatever goals you set for yourself personally, relationally, professionally, we want to make sure that they're clear and specific and measurable. The second thing we want to make sure of is that we have a plan of action. We want to create a plan. Most resolutions fail, I'm convinced, because they're goals without a clear plan to reach the goals, and that's the real problem, I think. When you create a plan, this turns an open-ended, although exciting, but open-ended generic resolution into a project. And that project, if you create a plan to reach your resolution, you turn that goal into a project that has action steps and deadlines. That's what we're looking for. If you have a goal that's important enough for you to say, you know what, regardless, I'm going to pursue this goal until in 2012, then you'll make sure your plan of action has action steps and a deadline to make sure that you reach that goal. So take your specific goal and work backwards. What will it take to make that resolution a reality for you? So write out the plan. Given your best educated guess about what it's going to take, what will you have to do to reach this specific goal? We want to do this for every single goal. Then, once you have that plan created, even roughly created, sketched out on a pad of notebook paper, whatever, we want to ask ourselves, this is critical, by the way, are you willing to do that? When you look at your plan that's attached to your goal, are you willing to do that? Am I willing to do all of this to reach that goal? Am I that committed? Because if you're not, there's no shame in that. There are certainly a couple of goals that I've set for myself, and once I sort of held them up to the plan litmus test and created a plan to meet them, I realized through brutal self-honesty that I wasn't willing. And this is okay. You just want to have this conversation with yourself. You don't want to set yourself up for setting goals and failing to meet them. So make sure that the goals that you set for yourself, they come with a plan, and then you have that honest conversation that says, am I willing to do what it takes to reach this goal? And finally, we want to have a little bit of negative preparation. You want to plan for obstacles. Listen, if this, meaning your goal, whatever goal you're up to, if this were an easy thing to do, it wouldn't be a New Year's resolution. You would have achieved it already. So plan for what is likely to trip you up. Shine light on that obstacle or challenge up front. I always ask my clients, if you're looking back on this conversation in 6 months and you've not realized your goal, what do you think would have gotten in the way? Now, I work with a lot of optimistic people, and many of them are coaches and consultants themselves, so sometimes I get pushback on this question. Why would I prepare for something I don't want? Why a negative use of preparation? Because even though we don't want to encounter obstacles or setbacks or challenges, even though we imagine and visualize a smooth, clear path to our goal, reality very often has different plans. Now, reality will always be kind to us as long as we acknowledge it. So this isn't about being negative, only about being prepared. We prepare in advance so that we're armed to address the obstacles likely to derail our progress. After all, isn't it the same things that trip us up usually when we fail to meet a goal? Boredom, time constraints, overwhelm, family responsibilities, financial stress. These aren't surprises to us. They've derailed us before. And they won't go away because we've set because hopefully we're setting some audacious goals for 2012. Our goals will not scare away obstacles or challenges or things that could threaten to derail us. So why not spend some time preparing your plan of action, firming it up by coming up with an initial tentative plan for overcoming the obstacles that are likely to come your way. When you prepare in advance, these mountains in your way tend to shrink to the size of a small pebble that you can easily walk around or toss out of the way. All right, so I'm hopping off of this recording so I can go and set my own resolutions to be sure I have a plan for each and that I'm willing to work that plan to achieve the goal. And finally, I'll be sure that I spend some time anticipating anything that is likely to derail me in 2012, because I'll be honest, I am giddily excited. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm giddy about 2012 and all that's possible for each of us. So I want to make sure that I do my own planning. The phone lines are open starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The phone number is in your email, and I look forward to spending some time with you today talking about your 2012. As always, I'm rooting for you. Talk to you soon.